What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Lou Reviews. I am your host, Luis Jimenez. Thank you again so much for being here. I see everyone in the chat. Simon Fly, Steve Long, UFO Shane is actually here for the show, so he'll be here hanging out with us. Steve Long, we got to get you to come on the show or do a space again. That's going to be fun. Brad Barry, what's shaking? Thank you for being here. Simon Fly, Morty Matt, 75 YBA, Cameron T, Aldo Rubio, Tina Teeden, thank you. Hi. And of course, Matthew Wright, thanks for being here, bud. Oh, what's up, girls? What's shaking? I absolutely love today's thumbnail. I thought it was hilarious. I've had some pretty good thumbnails these last few weeks, not gonna lie. But yeah, someone says that they saw me in a TXU commercial. And so, yeah, I've been booking some stuff this year. TXU is a Texas energy company. Oil. They definitely do oil and provide energy for certain districts in Texas, if not all of Texas. I don't know too much about it, but yeah, I did a commercial for the company, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was really cool. Nothing crazy, but I'm sure you could probably find it online somewhere. I didn't know it actually aired, so thanks for telling me. Appreciate it. Cameron T, what's shaking? All right, let's do this. Sandra McDonald, all the way from Australia. It's it's 6 a.m. there. Thank you for being here. Biggest fan right there. Waking up at 6 in the morning to watch this show. That's pretty cool. Okay. So we've got plenty to talk about, but before we bring all this stuff we're going to talk about, let's bring on UFO Shane. UFO Shane, can you hear me?
Oh yeah, dude, I can. What's going on?
Not a mucho. Let me go ahead and switch to our Lou Reviews production space. Not a mucho, man. Thanks for being here. Been meaning to do this for a long time, so I'm glad you had some time today. It was last minute, but there was some fun stuff that happened, and I'm sure you had some stuff to talk about. So here's the thing, though, is whatever videos and audio I do play, you won't be able to hear in the room, so that could suck. You might have to listen to it on the actual stream, but the good news is
I've got it on my laptop right now, so just let me know when I'll unmute it on my laptop and mute my mic.
Right on. Yeah, I'll let you know if we do play anything with audio. Although I think most of the things are audio-less, except for the Stephen Greer stuff that we've got to go over today. So I guess the reason why
you see what Steve Long just said?
What did we see?
He said that cue the conspiracies that Lou's being paid by big energy, dude.
Oh my gosh, dude! Wow, I never even thought of that. Hold on, let me get the pop-up chat above Shane's camera. There we go. Dude, never even thought of that. But yeah, I'm sure that'll. Yeah, somebody will do that.
For sure.
It's funny, yeah. I mean, I don't know anyone at well, whatever. Not even gonna. I mean, like I'm addressing a joke. Why am I addressing a joke? Anyway, let's go. Okay. So we'll get to the Stephen Greer stuff here in a little bit. And I got a cool Cosmic Judas clip. And just some weird stuff over the last few days here in UFO Twitter land. But I guess let's get to the reason why I wanted Shane on, and then Shane's going to stick around and just, help me produce the show here and talk about some of the shit that's been going down here in the UFO Twitter space and in the UFO Twitter conversation as a whole. So Shane.
Yep.
The reason why I asked you on the show was because this morning I'd woken up to some some news that there was a like UFO Twitter, what was it, like a poetry contest? What was?
No.
Okay,
it was
explain it to me what it was, because this is why I wanted you on, because I kind of just learned about this morning, and I wanted to go play golf, and so I was like, well, shit, if I'm gonna play golf, I need somebody here to help me decipher what the hell just happened here, because this looks so hilarious. So tell us, what was this?
All right, so this account called UFO Talk Radio posted a thing saying that they were gonna do the best monologue about disclosure would win $5,000 in crypto. Second place got like $3,000. Third place got, I mean, it was a lot of money. And it was going to be a 2-part contest, and you should all enter. And like everyone wanted me to enter because I'm always monologuing in spaces. But I mean, I'm basically a debunker skeptic. So there's no way I was going to win, because I knew the people who were going to judge were not going to look favorably at that. I don't care what they say. Now I've talked to a lot of them. Excuse me. And yeah, so they held this contest, and see, like right there, if you scroll back up a little bit, now the second part of the contest was not just based on the judges, but it was also based on a poll, which is wild, because if you have a lot of followers and you just post, hey, I'm on this poll, you're going to win the poll. And so Astral won his bracket and Reptile Hybrid won his bracket, neither of which, by the way, were in the top 3, which is weird. The person that hosted the contest is anonymous, but they are very wealthy. They paid out the money almost instantaneously from the contest being over, and it was thousands of dollars. It was like probably dang near probably more than that, 10 grand.
10
and
grand
they knew
split between the people.
Or yeah, first place got $5 grand. Wow. Yeah, so Chupacabra won first place. He got $5 grand. Brian Johnson won second place. I think he got 3 or 2,000. I can't hear you, Lou.
Oh, you can't hear me? Oh.
No, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, I wasn't talking. That's probably why you can hear me.
I think I looked at the screen because I got confused. Sorry.
That's okay. Wow, dude. Yeah, okay, so he won 5 G's. Okay. So they do these polls. The people with the most followers obviously get the most poll votes, right? So that makes sense.
Well, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that's what happens. I love this. It's Brian Johnson, Chupacabra, Terrestrial Material, and Astral. And I think out of all of these, I think Astral's probably the most level-headed of them all.
100%. Brian's all right, though, if you get to know him. Terrestrial's like, I don't have a problem with Terrestrial. I don't have a problem with any of the guys too much. But
again, like everybody, I don't have problems with any of these guys, but all of these guys have belief systems. All of these guys are especially in the case of Chupacabra. I mean, like those guys are third phase of Moon 2.0. like
yeah, the only problem with Tupa right now is him like selling free energy like it's real because he's secretly friends with Ashton Forbes, but we don't have to really get into that too much. But if you look at the spread, Astral won by a solid like 10%.
Yeah, he's got the most votes, 38.5%.
And he got 4th place.
Yeah. Wow. That's fucked
up. I don't even know what the point of this was. Yeah. And Reptile got like 5th or 6th. And everyone below 3rd or 4th, I believe, got $200. So everyone got paid in the top 8. And I see the chat about Astral. Astral's kind of on a debunker arc right now. He's getting really fed up with the soul conferences and all that. I'm always joking with him, like sending in the welcome to the party pal we always do,
Yeah.
But yeah, there you go. You got the rankings up. So anyway, I think the susness comes from who the judges were and then how the person won, like how Tupa won. And a lot of people don't like Chupacabra or they love Chupacabra, and the judges seem to be I guess more skewed towards like Tupa, and then, but I don't really care about that. I mean, if you're going to win some money, win some money or whatever. My thing is that there's no transparency. You didn't know who the judges were to begin with. and they were all chilling in spaces.
So let me read this for the podcast listener. So judges rankings. So 6 community judges. Each judge ranks the 8 finalists from 1 to 8. I wonder if any of the judges actually submitted for this contest. Were the judges paid to be judges? You know what I mean? Because if they come from the community, I'm curious to know. Yeah, who are they?
I just got messaged to look into this. I don't know yet.
They should be paid so that way they don't have a bias when they are judging. You know, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%.
Because everyone else is getting paid. At least 8 people are. Scoring. So first place is 8 points, second place is 7 points, and so on down to 8th place, which equals 1 point. Community polls, 2 polls. Finalists are split into 2 groups of 4 due to Twitter's poll limit. Double points. Community votes count as double, with first place earning 16 points, second place 14, and so forth. Total score. The total score for each finalist is the sum of their judges' points and community poll points. The finalist with the highest point total, which is judges and community, wins. Okay, well, the one thing that I will say is it does have a mix of both. It gives points for community votes and it gives points for judges' votes. So in a way, it kind of offsets, even if the judges are biased. Obviously, that could win you some stuff. But it is funny. Like, does Astro have as many have a big a following as Chupacabra and some of these other guys?
He's 3,000 above Tupa right now in followers on Twitter. Okay. Don't ask why I know all this stuff. But
well,
you know,
those guys.
Yeah, and I love Astral's my man, dude. I voted for Astral. In fact, out of all the monologues I heard, I go for humor, and he was using a voice changer and going. He was like disclosure. He was wild. I was laughing.
So guys were using AI to read their monologues.
He wasn't using. He was using like a voice changer to like add like theatrics. You know me. I love humor and improv, and so he basically improv'd it, and I thought it was great. So that's why I thought he should have won. But like I don't know. My whole thing with it is so it would have to be. This is my thing. Now I'm not saying it is sus or it's not sus really, because I'm really not biased about it. But transparency in who's running it, because they would have had to have been in spaces before, in UFO Twitter spaces. Know the people in spaces to pick the judges based on whatever criteria that was picked on. Right. And they also would have to have a large bag of cash they could just throw out like that. And I know most of the people in UFO Twitter spaces, and I can only think of like 3 people that might, actually I can only think of like 2 people that might have like that kind of expendable income to throw out to there, because that's a lot. Like you could have done this contest for $500 as the main winner. Like 5,000 is
whatever,
wild.
Dude. If somebody wants to pay $5,000 for a UFO log, oh man, that's wild, dude. With all the things in the world that you could give $5,000, it's just, I would love to meet the person who spent money on this, because I've got so many questions for them. First,
we have no idea who it is.
Why spend $10,000 on this?
I think that's where all the and then everyone's thinking it's Keemstar and that it was rigged and things like that. I have seen no proof of that, but I've also seen no proof of anything to show who the guy is that did this. So
right, well, we don't know who did it, and we also don't know who the judges were, because if the judges, first of all, whoever won should have a payment, so there should be some kind of
it's in Tether.
An email? Did they show the address that the payments came from?
Jonathan Caruso, who won 3rd place, I do believe showed, or maybe he won. I can't remember right now, but he won and showed his Bitcoin address or his Tether address, or he showed receiving the Tether.
So is Tether like a payment app, kind of like PayPal?
No, Tether is just a different type of crypto.
So he paid in a crypto currency.
Yeah, it was paid in Tether coin, which is like you can use Tether to gamble on stake.com or do whatever. It's no different than Bitcoin or Sol or any of that stuff.
That's interesting. I've never heard of that Bitcoin. Is that a valuable Bitcoin?
Yeah, I mean, Tether is not low value. It's used a lot in gambling. Like a lot of people use Tether to gamble on like Rollbit, Stake.com, and things like
Wow.
that. I
So
know
this
whenever
could
I was a
be
big crypto gambler, I used it.
this could be bankrolled by somebody who loves the gamble.
I mean, I'm just saying, like
Yeah. No,
maybe,
I know
but
what you're saying.
Tether could be. Tether is used often as an altcoin to use on stake or anything like that.
Somebody says I would have voted for you, Lou Bradbury. Thanks, man. I didn't
Well,
even know this was
I
happening.
got that. Yeah, I got that a lot. I got that as well. I literally got bombarded with people saying, "Why didn't you enter the contest?" And I'm sitting over here like, dude, like everyone's over here talking about reptilians being real and all that. Like I'm gonna be over there like the dude just tell you like this is all bull crap.
Are
So
these
I didn't even see it was worth my time.
are these monologues still out there and available to listen to?
I do believe so. And by the way, that is correct, Vancouver guy. Yeah, Tether is tethered to the U.S. dollar, so it's like absolutely stable, like at all times,
Wow.
based on the U.S. currency.
Interesting. Um, I'm wondering. Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like the community should know who the judges are. They should know who those six people
So
are.
I can only name a few: John Strader, Kimball Mortensen,
Hmm.
Rich Universe, which that dude hates my guts. He doesn't talk much in my spaces. Um, and perhaps Logan, perhaps Red Panda Koala, and that's as far as I've gotten so far. I've contacted a bunch of people today who are just now getting back to me and letting me know like what they know. And I'm not doing this for any other reason than I'm just curious myself. I asked UFO Talk Radio in a post they made, like who were the judges, things like that. I know that John Strader didn't enter a monologue. I'm not sure about any of the other judges. So right now.
Wow. And what? So the one that won was Tupacabras. What was? Do you remember the basic? How long was there a time limit to these things?
Yeah, it was like 20 minutes.
20 minutes?
Yeah, the first one was I think 10 or something like that. Like honestly, I literally didn't enter it, so I didn't care until people started contacting me this morning about all this. So I'm like literally I just don't want to speak like I don't know. But yeah, the second one was like 20 minutes because I listened to Astrals on that. Brian Johnson talked about there being like the government influence, Tic Tac UFOs being the government, things like that. And then I'm going to be real with you here. I haven't listened to Chupacabras or heard anyone comment on it, mostly just on Brian.
Wow, man. 20 minutes. That's absurd. That's not a monologue. That's a fucking
That's a couple chapters
that's
in the
like
book.
a filibuster.
Yeah, for real. And another thing too for me is I am a Spaces guy. My show is hosted on Spaces, and I go off on tangents a lot. But Spaces are really free form, and Spaces have a lot to do with community engagement. So if you're hosting, I don't know. It just seems like whoever it was didn't really understand. In my opinion, since the start, I was like, well, this isn't really how Spaces go. Because like when I host a space, I basically play off of whoever's talking to me, and then we have a good conversation, and then the room grows based on how good that conversation is, which is not like a private monologue, right? So I don't know, it just wasn't for me because that's not what I think of how spaces are.
Mm. It'd be nice if it was 6 community judges. It'd be nice if there was 3 skeptics and 3 believers. It sounds like the whole panel is believers. So even if you did get a good monologue in there with good valid facts, nobody would have voted for it.
Well, I was asked why me, you. I guess everyone thinks that me, you, Paranormal Chris, Stephen Cambion, and everyone like we all like talk in a group chat or something, which we don't. That I'm aware of, like why we didn't enter. And I mean, you didn't even know about it. Chris could care less, and I could care less because like I knew it was going to be stacked up for the cult like beliefs that are on there. Like you know what I mean? Like I don't believe half this stuff. So.
That's wild. That is wild that somebody spent $10,000 in a crypto coin to So how many rounds were there, Shane?
There were 2 rounds.
Two rounds
There was
of
the first
8
round and the second
people?
round. No, the first one was like a big free for all where like, and then 8 people were selected from that, and then they were given another set of instructions to do their next one. It was like a month later, and
Wow.
like everyone was writing it out and talking about like on their Twitter, like I'm writing this out. Like I wouldn't even do that. I would just go on there and free flow, dude, because that's what spaces are. If you're doing, I mean, the whole thing to me didn't seem like what spaces were. So I don't know.
Wow. Well, I'm kind of glad I missed it, but I am shocked that somebody spent 10 G's. Chupacabra made $5,000. That is nuts, dude. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. I can see why the community is pissed off, why they don't know who the judges are, because if 4 out of the 6 judges are buddies with the guru that is Chupacabra, the guru of dirt. I just don't know. Yeah, it's like, dude, oh man, it's such a weird community. $5,000. Well, I guess he doesn't have to find any editing work for a good month or 2.
Yeah,
man. Oh man, that's great. Good for him. I mean, shit, dude, get $5,000 from a sucker.
One of the judges gave him a 1 out of 10, though. One of the 6 judges obviously wasn't a Chupacabra, but they gave him a 1, and he still won first place.
Wow. Yeah. Well, that probably means. I mean, he is a good bullshitter. That's for sure. He could sit there and bullshit with the best of them. And he does that dance. He does that dance where he supports absolute scumbags like Ashton Forbes and still weasels his way into every other conversation out there, because he's a weasel. He's a slippery little eel. Like, yeah, it's whatever, man. If that's what the community wants as its hero and as its standard, I don't think it's going to get very far.
It'll go as far as it goes, I suppose. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. Like I said, I don't really have a problem with the dude. But whenever he was like talking about like the Aether is real, and I was like, well, are you buying one of these Aether machines then? And he said, he said, no, the Aether is real, and I was like, so that's a no. And you're out here like slinging for it is sus. So.
Yeah.
But I also know that like him and the Skyfire guys, because I was on Skyfire News, they're in a private group chat with the dude. So, and playing off of his clout. I mean, I was there, and they'll say disavow or I'm incorrect or whatever. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I know what the truth is, so it's fine. It's fine. It's just trying to be a celebrity on UFO Twitter is always a wild thing. But whatever. I'd rather be perceived as the bad guy. Than be someone who is perceived as honest and being played by everyone else. So,
yeah, you're the heel. We are heels. We're like the NWA of ufology.
Yep.
Or not NWA, but NWO.
NWO, yeah, NWO, not NWA.
Totally different acronym. That is a wrestling reference, is what I meant to everyone. Let me see. Okay, so moving on. That's just, I found that really funny and interesting. I hope that the judges' names do come forward, and if they ever do another event, I would recommend just making it as public and transparent as you can. Here are the judges. Here's the decision as to why we made these people the judges. And it's my money. I'll run it however the fuck I want. I get that aspect of it too. And if you wanted to be an anonymous donor, that's fine, but make every other aspect of it as transparent as you can. And I would also recommend opening up that judging panel to some skeptics, some people who are thinking a lot more rationally. I mean, what is his name? Tech Space? He had a
Tech Tweets.
Tech Tweets. He had a space earlier this afternoon that was incredible. It was such a good space.
Yeah, that dude's my homeboy, dude. He's always my co-host whenever he comes up, man. He's like us. He was someone who believed in this stuff, and then he was like, wait a minute. No one's showing me anything. Like, it matters. Okay, hold on.
Nobody is showing me anything either. And yeah,
but there won't be transparency. Transparency is not even remotely close to a part of UFO Twitter, so it stayed true to that much at least.
yeah. Well, okay. So I wanted to move on to a video clip. Are you are you able to listen to what's going on that I play on the stream?
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I got it.
I'm going to play this clip. I'll set you up for it so that way you don't have to rush or whatever. But it's a Dan Warren on revealed to the Unexplained show, All Things Unexplained, I guess is the name of the show, and Smitty, what's missing from the weather balloon debris that could change everything we thought when it comes to, I believe, Roswell, if that's what everything we thought we knew about the 1947 incident. So yeah, so Roswell. So let's listen to this clip and we'll get Shane's thoughts on it as well.
I want to ask you, Dan, what your hot take on what we like to think of as the Keystone event of ufology, and that is the Roswell incident, 1947.
So the thing that I've brought up a few times that I haven't heard anyone else talk about is they take pictures of the debris a few days later of what looks like aluminum foil, and they're saying this is a weather balloon. So if you research a weather balloon, it's got aluminum foil or plastic type skin on it. But one thing that's there in all weather balloons is a payload. And what attaches the payload to the balloon is the most durable, rigid, or the most durable, strong piece of the entire assembly, which is a cable of some form. Nowhere in any of the descriptions of the Roswell wreckage do they talk about a wire or a rope of some sort. You would see a big long wire rope in the debris field because it would stay together. It wouldn't break up into a million pieces. It would be the biggest thing that they would pick up. And no one's ever mentioned that in any of the reports that I've seen. So to me, that says, obviously they just grabbed some skin, some aluminum foil, and threw it on the ground and took pictures in front of it. And that's how they were trying to cover it up. But the original newspaper release was probably legitimate. And then they turned around and tried to cover it up with the debunking of it the very next day by deflating the balloon.
What do you think of that, Shane? I've got a few thoughts on it, but I'm curious to know what you think.
Roswell is, I was a little bit behind on there, but Roswell is wild, right? So he's saying that they just grabbed some stuff and put it together and said it was a weather balloon, but it doesn't represent what a weather balloon would look like. Is that what he's saying?
He's saying that it's missing basically the big long wire tether that would be attaching all of these instruments to the weather balloon itself. And because it's not on the floor of the picture that they took, therefore, I don't recall the farmer describing any sort of wire that would be there, right? But he's also assuming that why wouldn't if there's a violent storm going on and let's say the thing gets struck by lightning or whatever, wouldn't the instruments fall off of it first? Or it's possible that the instruments fall off of the tether and then the balloon carries the tether to a different location. Because it becomes lighter. Even if 2 or 3 instruments fall off of because what the weather balloon, the mogul balloon that he's referencing was as long as the Eiffel Tower. There were multiple layers to this thing, and there were multiple instruments that weighed a lot. And so if it's getting whipped around in a storm and it starts to lose those instruments, it gets lighter. And therefore, the tether that those things are attached to, I think, would go farther away, wouldn't
it? Yeah, probably. But didn't Mogul take place 4 years after Roswell, though?
Well,
I believe Mogul was in 54, so even longer. I believe I could be incorrect. I thought
the name of the project that it ended up being in 47 was Mogul.
No, Mogul, if I remember correctly, was like 53, 54 that took place, and that's why.
So what was the name of the weather balloon project? Yeah, Steve Long says it was Mogul in 47. So does
It's 47. Oh,
yeah.
okay. Well, I am incorrect. I am incorrect.
You
And
are incorrect. Don't
I
correct me
have
on my show,
literally.
man. The hell's your problem?
Yeah, my bad. I have literally like Roswell happened so long ago
Yeah.
that sitting around trying to argue it in any way, shape, or form ends up kind of like this. Like you just don't really know. Like there's nothing we could find.
Okay, so
And then you're talking about Mac Brazel was the farmer, and what was the name of the dude that worked for the government? Shit.
What are you talking about?
The guy.
Are you talking about Jesse Marcel?
Yeah, and Jesse Marcel. Jesse Marcel lied about having a physics degree and a few other things that make the whole thing sus. So, yeah, I don't know.
The thing that I find the most sus about Jesse Marcel is the fact that he was never demoted for this. Because if we're to believe what what the Air Force put out there, is that Marcel made a huge mistake in deciphering what he was looking at and reported it to the media far too quickly before they had all the facts on it. So that's why he had to take that embarrassing photo in front of the media, but he never got demoted for it.
Right.
He actually got promoted.
and Project Mogul was listening to nuclear explosions in the atmosphere, right?
Yeah.
I had the wrong. I was thinking about the crash test dummies, so that's a different thing. That's why I had
it did have I believe it did have crash test dummies on it. Again, you have to understand the Project Mogul weather balloon again was as long as the Eiffel Tower. Longer. It was bigger than the Eiffel Tower. Imagine that in the sky. And if you look at the different instruments, some of them look disc shaped, some of them have all sorts of metal, but most of it is made of wood and light, metals essentially. But they take on weird shapes. I believe some of them, and Steve Long's here, I believe some of them had dummies in them as well. Because they would test all sorts of shit from those high altitude weather balloons. But yeah, the primary goal of it was to listen to the Russians detonating nuclear weapons in Russia.
That's right.
So they could get an idea of what they were testing.
What's more plausible? That an alien spacecraft was struck by lightning, or radar technology brought it down, or that the U.S. government was doing something like this and it crashed and they didn't want anyone to find out about it. I mean, one's real, one's not.
Yeah, I think again, I think the playbook since 1947, and I think they had this playbook constructed before these things started happening. So that way they were distractions while they were literally building the national security state. And I think the best play that they have in this playbook is blame it on aliens. Say it was aliens, and everybody's immediately going to go, oh my God, it's aliens. And that's exactly what they did with Roswell. They said, they went to the press. They said an alien craft has crash landed into the United States. And then the next day they had to retract it as if they made a mistake, as if the Air Force is going to make a mistake like that. Do we really believe that?
Well, also with the saucer fever that was taking over the time, and Roswell didn't come out as a popular thing until about 77, 78. Somewhere around there with Stanton Friedman and stuff like that. So just the fact of everyone freaking out about seeing it, flying saucers and being in the news all the time, newspapers and all that, radio shows.
Yeah, well, it had an anniversary, that Friedman and I think, what's that one Roswell investigator? He's always super pissed off. Oh, damn, dude, what's his name?
I can't remember. You talking about the 1998 one?
Yeah. He's like a 90s investigator. It's on the tip of my tongue, but yeah, he's always Don Schmidt. That's it. Thank you, Vancouver guy.
Don. Yeah,
Don Schmidt. He's always so pissed about Roswell, and it's just but he's also part of the reason why it got, the anniversary of it is always brought up because those guys keep it alive. But I think it's always brought up
this was the last time you could meet these guys, these heroes.
No, but I think the point in 1947 of that media leak was to not only trick the United States, our own citizens, but it was also to maybe trick the Russians into thinking that maybe we got some alien craft. Now we're back engineering it possibly. Because again, fuck, could you imagine if the second, I believe, Jesse Marcel, and I'm curious, Steve Long, I'm sure can correct me on this, but Jesse Marcel's position at Area 51, or was it Nellis Air Force Base, was, I believe he was like second or third in command, if not first in command on the base. And he's the guy who went to his home and showed his family. He's the guy who released the information to the press. And then he's the guy who took the picture in front of the weather balloon. He's the guy who took all the blame. And I think even honestly, like, I think part of this story was him going to his home and showing his family, like, yo, check out this alien craft, because they're not
check out this rebar with writing on it, bro.
Yeah, they're not under any NDAs. And there are interviews with Jesse Marcel from a college student who was doing a literally like a term paper, and she chose him to write about. And some of the signals or the things that he wrote that were, he said it was like, or that he said about this craft, he said it was made of balsa wood. Like, there were markings on it that were military markings. And in 1947, if you had not known that, it would have looked alien. So there are some things that he said later in life that are pretty damn wild, that go against everything that, you know, the UFO celebrities would like you to believe on Roswell. I think there's so many holes there, and I think there's a lot of guilt on Jesse Marcel's part, having to bring in his family to cover up one of the biggest secrets in the U.S. military arsenal, which was a spying device at the time. I mean, Mogul was only second to the nuclear bomb in terms of classification.
Right, because it was still nuclear related as well, right? Yep. They're still listening for nuclear explosions. And it's, I don't know. I want to say Roswell, like I said, it's so old and it's so convoluted. I prefer like even Kecksburg over Roswell, to be honest with you. And Jesse sent his kid and his grandkid on this whole tirade, talking about the rebar and recreated. Now you got Michael Stroud out here offering $25,000 for a piece of whatever the Roswell crash was, which probably doesn't even exist anymore because it was balsa wood and aluminum foil. So I don't know.
Yeah. Steve Long says dummy tests were later by a few years in the 1950s, but the United States government mentioned them because Roswell witnesses' accounts were all from after the 70s. The United States suggested some people maybe confused the years with the memories. That makes sense.
Yeah, and they referenced that in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was from the 90s report with Bill Clinton, I do believe.
Yeah, no, that's what he's referencing for sure.
I don't know. Vancouver guy's all about it, though. Vancouver guy knows his stuff.
Yeah, dude. He's got his shit. Let's see here. What is he saying? He goes, Tim Printy has a massive document where he addresses all the inconsistent aspects of the Roswell story. Yeah, I can tell you, I think I remember talking to Jesse Marcel's grandson, and it was interesting to talk to him and see what he was working on, because he was also working on like an anti-gravity personal
oh Lord God
like flying car, essentially. He was working on a device.
How'd that work out for him?
Oh, of course. Well, it didn't work at all, but I remember doing shoot. Like, because it was the History Channel that got me in touch with him. They gave me his information. They're like, hey, would you like to interview Jesse Marcel, the third or whatever? And I was like, yeah, I'd love to. And I reviewed the show that he was on, and I talked to him about it. And I think it was the show where they were revisiting Roswell, basically. I did the review, and in the review, I'd said my theory about Jesse Marcel, and the theory I just shared with you, as far as like, yeah, I think that was they knew exactly what they were doing when they went to the press with that story, and he knew exactly what he was doing when he went to his dad basically and showed him all of this, you know, crazy alien tech. I think it was already in the playbook. It was something that they had to break in case of emergency, like in case one of our Project Mogul balloons lands in someone's property. This is the fire alarm that we have to pull, and they broke it, and that was part of the whole show. You know,
they have protocols for everything, man,
Everything.
and you know, like that's really the thing too. Is if you think about the time frame that this is set in, 1947. You know, the Great War just ended. You know, patriotism was at an all-time high, and if you were a part of that, if you were a part of, you know, the U.S. military, and especially if you're an intelligence or God, you know, you're running the, you know, bombers that drop the bomb, you're going to do everything you can to protect your nation's assets so that you can keep moving forward as a superpower. But what, you know, like I said, what makes the most sense?
I want to ask you,
Aliens
Dan, what your
or you know, government disinformation to protect a program.
Yeah. No, dude, it makes sense. It just makes sense. And I hate when people say, oh, we got to look at the historic records. And that's the issues I have with these historical records. You know, I was watching, rewatching Oppenheimer. And there's this scene where they were talking to a pilot, and he was doing bombing missions in World War II, and he would see not the Valkyrie missiles. What was the missiles that the Nazi had? What kind of missiles were they? I forget the name of the actual missiles, but you know, they were rockets essentially, and he would see them as he was flying. And dude, like they look. You
talking about the V2 rocket?
The V2 rocket, yeah. They look exactly like the you know, the orbs that people describe when they were flying, you know, doing flying missions
Fighters
over there. The Foo Fighters looks exactly like it. I was like, dude, that looks. Now imagine 3 or 4 of those rockets, and you know, a pilot that maybe sees a V2 rocket for the very first time. Like I can understand how that shit gets confused for otherworldly stuff, especially during a time where humans were brand new to flying. Like we were literally going through the baby steps of flying, and we're already putting bombs on these fucking things and using them in theaters of war. And I think there's a lot of atmospheric phenomenon that we had to learn over the decades of flying to now where we understand a lot of the phenomena or the optical illusions that happen while flying, but clearly there are more coming, especially with drones and things like Elon Musk's satellite system. You know, the SpaceX stuff.
You mean what Ryan Graves calls UFOs, but it's actually Starlink? Yeah. Wild stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay, so this was also interesting that happened this last week that I wasn't able to cover because I was filming a TV show. But Steve Long, who's in the house, had posted this and said, after 7 years, Lou doesn't feel he owes the public evidence for his public claims. Why not share info DOPS are cleared for public release? Why not provide your DD-214 or other service records or documents to support your claims? The onus is on the claimant, and public claims merit public review. He posted this because it stemmed from a question that Philip Mansell had to Lou Elizondo, and that was, I've been in touch, well, it wasn't a question, it looks like a statement, but he says, I've been in touch with Elizondo's publisher, and they refused to produce a copy of his book's security review, saying it's a private matter between Elizondo and the DOD. BS. Elizondo, let's see a copy. And he tagged Elizondo, Knapp, and Ross Coulthart in UFO Twitter. And Elizondo responded with, I owe you nothing, period. Blocked. Period. And that's what Steve Long had responded and posted to. What do you think of this, Shane? I'd like to get your thoughts.
Yeah, so that was Philip Mantell, I believe, that did that. That Steve posted about. And I think Steve said, I think it was Steve, transparency for thee, but not for me, right?
Yep.
I mean, Lou's not going to show you his D214. He's not going to show you anything at all that would counter his claims. And what's funny is it wouldn't matter if he did, because even if it was different than what he said, which obviously it is, everyone would still back him up and believe him to some extent, because he's this hero of disclosure who's done nothing for it, in my opinion. And I read the replies like, "Oh, his book Imminent's going to bring us to the next bit of disclosure," and it's not. It's all to sell his next stuff. He doesn't want you to read his Dobster. And Philip's a great researcher. He follows Pascagoula quite a bit. I love Pascagoula. Philip's always been kind when I've talked to him. A couple of times I've talked to him over Spaces. But this is what Lou does. So I'm not surprised at all that Lou of all people wouldn't be transparent. And that's really the problem with these people, is they talk about transparency, but when you ask them, they act like they're the victim. And I talk about this a lot. When you put yourself up on this pedestal of being this hero or this person that's fighting for this or that, and the thing, and you put yourself up there for to be judged against and to be put through the meat grinder, right? Like, that's just part of it. Like, everyone else isn't doing that, but you are, and you're making profit off of it. And as soon as someone asks you a question, you're the victim every single time. They can, call other people whatever they want, send their zealots towards other people, do whatever they need to do. But the second it's pushed back on them at all, even just a question like that, they're the victim and they owe you nothing. It's disgusting, really.
Yeah. I also think it's bullshit. I think Steve Long makes a great point. You do owe the public these things because you're making very public claims that are taking public tax dollars and putting them into public programs that we don't get a ton of clarity to and other people get more clarity for. And if your DD-214 and your Dobster that was cleared for public release would help clear things up and you're telling the truth, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you release that information? Especially if you're trying to put pressure on the federal government to be honest about UAPs. You owe us nothing? Blocked? It's ballsy. And this is why nobody likes you. And the only people who do not get spoken to like this are sycophants. Like King Milkfart. It's absolutely wild, dude, that this is the response. And I'm sure Philip Mantle, correct me if I'm wrong, Shane, but Philip Mantle, I know he's not usually very aggressive. And even this message to Elizondo isn't too aggressive. I mean, he does say it's BS, but he's right. It's like, it's been cleared by the Dobster process. And the DD-214 isn't a classified thing. So why not put those things out? Is Shane still there?
Philip was just being a researcher, though. Like, that's all he was doing. He was just being a UFO researcher. I saw what Steve said. Like, he could have asked nicer, but at some point you just can't keep asking nice questions. You just have to be like, hey, what are you doing? Like, because you're out here selling these things, making these statements as they're real, saying that you're being attacked and hunted for what you're saying, even though you're showing a picture of you with Matt Ford at a bar. I guess there were armed soldiers outside guarding Elizondo outside the bar. And then he's just like, you know what, I'm done with it. Hey, Lou, what's going on here? I'm just trying to look into this. And that's what Philip does. Philip's a researcher. And Philip has beliefs that even I don't agree with, right? Like, he believes in aliens and all this other kind of stuff, like hardcore. And and look what, and he was loved. And look what happens, man. He goes against Lou. Now he's the most hated dude of all time when it comes to the sycophants of Lou Elizondo.
Yeah, well, yeah. This is, I mean, again, if you're telling the truth, this shouldn't be your response to something like that. I mean, I mean, you could say simply that information's coming soon. Obviously, he's got a book coming out. So clearly we're not getting, we're not going to get a copy of his DD-214 or any of the info in the Doppler that's been cleared for public release.
Do you think the front page of Lou Elizondo's book will be his DD-214?
No chance. No chance. I mean, it'd be great.
Yeah, no chance.
But yeah, no chance.
The first page of his book, he just discredits himself.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny. That guy, AKA, that's been in spaces, and to me, he's one of the more mysterious people in spaces. He says very interesting things, and the way that he flames the belief system is very interesting. And him being a former military, and it sounds like a current contractor somewhere within, the apparatus. Yeah, he's one of the more interesting things. But he had told me in a space that if I had played my cards right, or if I had apologized to Lou Elizondo, that I would have written the foreword to his new book. I find that interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Which yeah, I don't think that would have happened. It would have shocked me if something like that had happened. But yeah, I was interested. It was interesting because of who it came from. And that guy's just he's like I said, he's a very mysterious but very interesting voice in the UFO Twitterverse. Have you talked to him much, Shane?
Yeah, I've talked to AKA a few times. I know John Strader says for me to trust him because he's talked to him on the phone and met him and stuff like that. But I'm like, this is not telling me anything on who this guy is. And I've had fun conversations with him and stuff. But like I said earlier, I would rather be perceived to be the bad guy than be the person that everyone thinks is the good guy being used by the actual bad guys, right? So I'd rather just be true to myself. And oh my God, I couldn't even imagine if you were still doing that and you wrote the forward of that book. You'd just be lost and being used by the same people who use everyone else. That's disgusting. Ugh.
Yeah. There was something I forgot to say it, but it was interesting. UFO intros, obviously that's Kimball, right? He said that he was one of the judges. He confirmed he was one of the judges, and that he, I can't find the comment, but
he didn't vote for Tuba Copper first place.
He said, I was definitely a judge, and my first place vote didn't go to Tuba. Y'all are gullible AF. And then goes on the right. This says, quote, ufology has a conspiracy problem. Peter Lavenda. We're not tying conspiracy to anything. I mean, clearly he won it, but it would be nice to know who the fuck were the judges. Like, that's not what's so wrong with that question? Now we know you were definitely one of them. And I'm curious to know who else were judges. And did you guys get paid as judges? Because you should have been. If you had to sit through fucking 8 20-minute fucking diatribes about UFOs, I hope you guys got paid, because that sounds like a fucking huge waste of time. But I don't know. And months of effort too. I mean, it didn't take just one day. Complizzard with a $2.22 super chat says King Milkfart, aka brown boxer shorts. Yep, that's fair. Okay, so moving on. This was something interesting. Shane, you're familiar with UFO Jesus, right? Post-disclosure world?
Yeah, I argue with that dude all the time. Real quick, I gotta reset Lou, bring him back up.
Yeah. Reset. All right. So as I say, Shane's resetting. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the show. I didn't say that at the top of the show. Yeah. So do that. It helps.
Oh my.
Right. What, are you okay?
No, I had to run to the store real quick, and my car keeps Bluetoothing it.
Oh, okay. I see what you're doing. I'm glad you got a new car. That's great. Is it working all right?
Oh, my bad. It's my roommate's car. I do have a car though. It's just not fixed yet.
Cool. Okay, so this is what Post Disclosure World said on June 22nd. And he goes, allow me to explain what sea lioning is. Here's one example of someone I have since blocked who would frequently engage in sea lioning with me. Often when I stated, quote, the phenomenon, while discussing UFOs, he would interject, quote, what phenomenon? UFOs are multiple things, end quote. I would explain that I was merely using the term colloquially, and that, of course, UFOs encompass more than one thing. Yet, this didn't stop him. Persistently, he would accost me with on this he's great, pedantic point. He's got such a great vocabulary, much vaster than mine. Even though I had repeatedly explained what I meant. It seems harmless, right? That's the nasty part of sea lining. It can appear benign, but is intended to frustrate a person, undermine their line of thinking, or belittle them. The repetitive questioning, often masked by a facade of politeness, aims to derail productive discussion and focus on trivial points. It's the deceptive nature of sea lining that I find so repugnant. Sea lining feels like a tactic used to intentionally harm people while making it look innocent. That's truly nasty stuff. I wish this individual well, though he's not someone I desire to associate with. Best block of my life. It's interesting. I wonder who that was who he blocked. What do you think of that, Shane? Are you sea lining?
Yeah.
Are we sea lions?
I don't like. Oh, you disagreed with me, so now let me make up these big words for what you did and how you're incorrect and I'm right at all times. I don't like any of that. But he does post like that all the time. He'll talk about how it's not a cult and like I can't believe he hasn't blocked me yet because I go in there all the time. I'm like, dude, like what you're saying is totally biased towards this entire belief system. So yeah, I guess we're sea lions, Lou. I guess I'm sea lining right now.
I think what I find hilarious is they do the exact same thing all the time. They always ask you questions in bad faith, or they try to ask you questions that they think are cornering you in some way. And do it from a place of an intellectual superiority. And a person that does this all the time and sometimes dehumanizes you. Forget about just annoying you. Like, I don't know. I think there is some value in asking the same question over and over and over and over until you get an answer. I know that can be annoying, but sometimes it works. And if you can't answer a simple question about your belief system, I think the point of that question is to make you question your belief system. But instead you attach something else to it, and then you classify it as an attack, in the form of sea lining. I think it's just a cop-out for not wanting to answer simple questions. That's what I think it is. You get asked tough questions and you'll make 7 billion excuses as to why you can't answer the simplest fucking questions. And that's with every UFO believer that I've run into. Is they'll give you, Ashton Forbes, you would ask him a simple question and he'd give you a 40-minute answer. Every time. None of these guys can answer questions in the simplest forms. They can never just say yep or no. You know, especially when it's a poignant question that is trying to get to the truth of something. Okay.
Well, isn't it the same thing though too?
Yeah.
Like all these people will have these big UFO celebrities on, and they'll never ask them a single hard question. And even if they did, they wouldn't answer it. They would just do what Lou does, where he just talks about nonsense, or
Well,
the same thing over and over again. And it's just like whenever you got to talk to Dan Sheehan, you asked him about the Paradigm Institute, and he got all mad about the degree in ufology and stuff like that, or and they just get that. How dare you? How dare you ask me something that doesn't make me feel good? It's
right.
Gross.
No, it sucks. Well, here's the thing, right? I would not give any of these people that hold these spaces any shit if, let's say, Garry Nolan or Stephen Greer or whoever came into a space, Jason Sands, came into a space and decided to spend an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, or longer sometimes in one of these spaces. It should be in the best interest of everyone in that room to immediately contact you, contact McGowan, contact Paranormal Chris, contact me, contact Steve Cambion, contact Mick West, contact all of the people, Stephen Greenstreet, John, Greenwald, like all of us. That should be the first move anytime one of these guys comes into one of these spaces, and you invite them to come ask questions along with believers. And I think you get a mixture of both, but I think once you get some skeptics in there, when you give them the opportunity to really expose these people with simple questions, I think it would be good for the community. And I think I also think it's more interesting to listen to. Like, some of the best spaces have been, definitely the best moments have been, questions that debunkers ask. Always. I mean, like, the question that I asked Rick Doty in that story that I made up that he lied about and confirmed, like, I think that was the most interesting part of the whole fucking conversation, is catching that guy in a lie. I think that was fun as fuck. And it shows.
That was great.
Yeah. It shows in a really simple way that these guys will tell you anything that you want to hear. And I think if you got some skeptics in there really not being mean, especially to a supposed whistleblower, but just asking them simple questions, getting them to, provide, like, if it wasn't for the skeptics in that room when Jason Sands was there, I don't know if we get copies to confirm who he is. It was the questions that Paranormal Chris and a few other people were asking in that discussion that got some really great confirmations about who this guy was in the military. And again, like, those are the best moments. So I don't understand why the community shuns that stuff. They should welcome it. It's weird.
Well, they do it for a myriad of reasons, because I used to do it too. Like, I get so excited to have Richard Doty on or these other people, and then I'm thinking about, like, I'm doing this for the community, I'm getting fame off of this. It's a lot. It's a lot of things like that. But in reality, if you're really here, and my whole thing, and that's why I get mad at these people, even though, like, some of them were, like, some of my best friends, is because I'm sitting here, like, you keep telling me over and over again that you're here not for a hobby, but to actually figure out what the phenomenon is. And you're bringing in Angelie, you're bringing in Richard Doty, you're bringing in proven, and I mean proven liars. You're bringing in a woman who said that in 2 weeks she was going to take us to Manted Mountain, and the Galactic Federation was going to be there, and all would be revealed. It's no worse than bringing David Wilcock in there, or Corey Good. And I'm sitting here like, are you actually doing this for disclosure? or are you doing this to boost your numbers? You know, I mean, I think I know which one. So
Yeah.
I get fed up with it. And you're right too. Like if you have a space, and you know, I don't think anyone, me, you, Stephen Cambion, I mean, hell, me and you did that whole space where we talked to that dude who said he like saw an alien, and that whole whistleblower thing we did. And we were nice to the guy the whole time. And he thanked us even though we didn't believe him the whole time. Well, we weren't rude to him. What's wrong with actually figuring out what's going on? You know, ignorance is only bliss when you fear the truth. And I feel like that saying is most of UFO Twitter. They don't care. They just want to feel good and just hear bullshit stories from like Richard Doty. And it's wild, which he proved that he does, which I mean, most of us already knew, well, some of us, but it's just, what are you really doing? Are you trying to get the biggest space possible? Or are you trying to have someone here that you ask real questions to get to the bottom of it? Like Danny Sheehan should be asked immediately why he's selling a $16,000 PhD in ufology. Where can I use that? What does it do? Why should I pay you this? Oh, it does nothing? Go. You know, like, I guess I'm just giving you 16 grand. You know? Like when Diana Pasolka's on, ask her why she's charging $270 for a course that teaches you protocols from basically like some like proven wackadoo, which is what I got shown is what her courses do. And then also the fact you can look up those protocols for free on Google. So it just, I mean, I don't know what, just ask. But if you even so much as tried to do that, you would be booted out of the space immediately, and everyone would just shun you, even though you're just trying to get to the bottom of things that these people have said publicly on a pedestal.
Right. No, it's wild. Man, UFO Intros really hates you. He's not happy with me either. Man, Kimball, you gotta let it go, buddy. Nobody cares about you that much. Okay, so this was interesting. Ron James, MUFON's director of media relations. Did you see the and this kind of leads up to the thumbnail that I had in my show today. This exclusive on the Vetted podcast. I love that this show is called Vetted and they don't vet any of this stuff. It's great. But did you catch any of this show, Shane? Or any or this picture that was provided? Oh, I think we lost Shane. So, there we go. He's back.
Yo,
did you hear what I said?
I missed the end of it. Sorry, I have to switch over to my headset.
No, it's cool. I was saying, did you see this Ron James reveal shocking UFO pictures on the Vetted podcast with this Patrick guy?
Yeah, I sent you copies of the book or pages from the book where it's illustrated.
That's right, you did. Well, let's listen to this clip and then we'll get to those pictures you sent me. But yeah, again, this is Patrick from the man. Do you think he really vets any of these people he talks to? I say no.
Isn't it ironic, dude? The Vetted podcast. I bet no one. It's like Michael Herrera next week.
Yeah, he's pretty soon. Has he done Anjali yet? I think this guy will talk to anybody.
Well, she's having a resurgence, brother. So Angelique's having a resurgence. So he probably was there.
All right, let's listen to what he has to say here.
MUFON is the Mutual UFO Network, and according to Wikipedia, it's a U.S.-based nonprofit organization composed of
Wait, I thought we don't trust Wikipedia. What happened to that?
civilian volunteers who study reported UFO sightings. It is one of the oldest and largest organizations of its kind, established in 1969, claiming more than 4,000 members worldwide, with chapters and representatives in more than 43 countries and all 50 United States. My guest today is Ron James. He is MUFON's Director of Media Relations, but he's also a filmmaker. He released a documentary narrated by Matthew Modine last year called The Accidental Truth, and he's here to talk about his next film, The Next Accidental Truth, and the MUFON Symposium that's coming up in July, where they will reveal 4 different new UFO cases.
I'm only going to show these for a minute, and please don't read it because these are all copyrighted. I'm just giving a little teaser for the film.
Oh my God. Why do
Father
these photos need to be
shot
copyrighted?
A mothership. This is supposed frame from a
Look
gun
at this
camera
shit.
footage shot of the saucer being shot down. this is supposedly the crash scene. We have more.
Oh my God. Okay, so yeah. So Shane, you sent me some photos here. Let's bring these up. And this one was the first one you sent me here. And okay, so what is this that you sent me here, Shane?
So there's a book that illustrates that has like it's literally they illustrated the picture of like the two trees and the mothership, as he calls it, sitting there, and
Right.
that's the claims of the people who were apparently there on site. And it's in a very public book. You can get on a Kindle. That's I don't remember the name of it right now, but you guys have to forgive me. I'm working 100-degree weather all day. But yeah, that's what it is. So and why also real quick why are they blurred? Like, it's just, why is it always like this? Like, I got disclosure right now, and it's coming out for money.
Well, because they're copyrighted photos. It's like,
Okay.
why are we copywriting photos that show the world the truth that it needs to know? Like, do we have the negatives for these photos? Do we know where these photos came from? Who took the photos? What kind of camera was it taken on? Where are these photos taken exactly on the planet Earth? Why does MUFON have them? There's so many questions I have. And yeah, it's like vetted podcasts, vetted up until the point we actually have the stuff that's real. And so that means that the vetted guy got to see in a private conversation these photos, right? Because he clearly showed them. Those things weren't blurred out when he showed them. And so here's one of the photos that was unblurred. And so basically we're getting a photo of a photo, a video of a photo of two guys. Looks like a saucer in a forest of some kind with two tree trunks or something, and two guys standing on top of it.
Yeah, it's like huge. It's a giant disc. It landed gently next to two trees that didn't fall over.
Yeah, it's not
woods.
wrecked at all.
No other trees falling
It's
over.
not smoking whatsoever. It looks
well, of course not, dude. It's made out of metamaterials, dude.
But it is blurry as fuck.
Yeah, well,
it's blurry AF, and I don't know is it an original photo? Because if it is, why is he holding it with his bare hands like that?
I have a few people that I trust looking over it. The clearest still I can find of it, trying to like look at the trees and if they're warped in any way, or I haven't gotten anything back yet. So I do have some people on it looking at it, trying to figure out what's going on with the photos and all that stuff. But I mean, it's just ridiculous, and it's like huge. I don't know. I'm just getting really, really like I watched this and I was like, oh, cool. And then when he held them up and they blurred them, I was just like, all right, okay, I can't do this. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking up the video right now. I'm gonna see. It doesn't have any sort of timestamp on it, but let me see if I could scrub it and find the moments.
Michael Huntington says already debunked.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
That's usually how it goes.
Well, yeah. I mean, what do you mean? It's been vetted, Michael Huntington. You didn't?
Yeah,
hear?
it's on the vetted show, dude.
It was on vetted, so it's definitely real. It's definitely real, for sure. Look at this, dude. Okay, so what? I guess this is like a fleet of them. Again, like if this is an original photo, why is he holding it with his bare hands? Like these photos.
Where are the white gloves at, dude?
Yeah, these photos. I think this is a copy of the photo. If I had to guess,
yeah, I hope so.
I think it is. But even still, that's awful. So we get a copy of the photo. Wonderful. Okay.
It's a perfect disc, just like we all thought it was, dude. It's all real.
Here's the other one. Oh my God. Yeah, it's a copy of a photo. Look at the white outline on this one. That's not a photo frame. That's somebody who downloaded an image that was sent or put it in a photocopy machine and took a
They went to
photocopy of
Walgreens.
it. Yeah, they went to fucking Walgreens, and
They
then
went to Walgreens,
and then
dude.
here's the picture that we showed on my.
They went to Walgreens and then printed it out, and then they went across the street to CVS and then reprinted it out.
Well, it looks like they. I mean, you could do this all at FedEx, where you print out the photo and then you take that paper slicer and you just slice the edges of it, or some scissors that they got there. You know, like, and I'm sure.
Yeah, the big machete.
I'm sure Patrick was just absolutely flabbergasted and enthralled by this. I'm sure it was just so amazing. You know, and I'm sure he vetted the fuck out of it, right?
Oh, dude, I bet he went into sheer minutes of vetting, dude.
Oh man, dude. Anyway, okay, so that's vetted. Here is one of probably the most cringe things I've ever seen on Twitter. And
I can guess what this is.
yeah, this was awful. So Little Pop Tart, who's pretty popular, as you can see on UFO Twitter. He's only following one person. I'm curious to know who he follows. Let me see. Alex Washburn. Alex.
Dude, Alex is awesome. I don't know who that is, but I'm sure they're cool as shit.
Yeah, I bet you think they're cool as shit. Dancing nightclub. Okay, interesting. All right. So that's the one person he's following. And yeah, huge UFO believer, loves Stephen Greer, loves CE5. And
dude, okay.
What?
I need to say something. So me and Little Pop Tart have a tumultuous relationship.
Okay.
He came into a space that I was hosting. He loves Stephen Greer. And everyone knows there's a few things about me that make me really mad. One is the Mask of Mummies. The other one's Jaime Maussan. And the other one is Dr. Stephen Greer. And he was just talking about like Dr. Greer. And he's like this, you know, and he was like, dude, I have these videos, man. Like I saw these things. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be a dickhead. I was like, just show me this picture. And he's like, I have a 10-second video of an alien spacecraft flying over my house. I'm like, all right, let's see it. So he sends me this video, puts it up in the nest, and it's a clear blue sky and a bird flies over. He's like, did you see it? And I'm like, dude, that was a bird. And he got so mad at me. He blocked me for like 3 weeks. And he got so mad at me. And I literally told him, I was like, dude, I was like, hey man, I gave you a shot. I'm tired of this stuff. Because it's not, like, if you're going to tell me that you're seeing an alien spacecraft and you show me a picture, it doesn't need to be anything other than an alien spacecraft. He's like, well, the way I saw it with my naked eye and the way the video was, I was like, that's not what you said. You said that you had a clear video of an alien spaceship multiple times. And anyway, me and that dude got into it for like 35 minutes before he got mad and left. I just wanted to preface it with that.
Well, okay, so this is him on a show called Pop Culture Corner. And yeah, this has got to be the most cringe shit I've ever seen come out of a UFO Twitter personality. So it's the title of the video is he titled this youngest human to ever contact UFOs first interview. So I guess he's using his son as a way to bolster his UFO celebrity status. And has convinced his son that he can see UFOs to a point where he's got him barking on this guy's podcast. And I don't know who the fuck this guy is, but shame on him for doing this. This is awful. But let's listen to this thing that he's bragging about. This is like a Tim Gallaudet moment almost.
Yeah. Have you seen an alien spacecraft?
Yeah.
How did you do that? Did you ask it to come see you?
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I know for sure these questions that you're asking this kid are leading him to say yes. He's giving you answers that he thinks you want to hear. And this is not the way you're supposed to ask children questions when it comes to claims like this. And I know for sure if Andres was in here right now, he would definitely agree with me on this one. This kid has no idea what's going on.
Well, he's 5 years old, dude.
He's 5 years old. He has no clue what's going on. He's just being told how to answer. Oh, you could call UFOs? Yeah. You know, like I saw one. It's fucking weird, man. This is the weirdest shit.
How did that feel?
Good.
And do you tell other people about it?
No.
I think that
Wow. Why would he? Why would he tell his friends that he could call UFOs? Probably because his friends would be like, show us. And then when it doesn't happen, they'd probably make fun of him. You're setting your kid up for some serious bullying
that's
here.
best for now.
That's best for now, says the host.
But what?
So gross. Okay, so that's the clip. That's this guy's point of pride right here, putting his son on a fucking podcast. Okay, what's the name of this podcast? Pop Culture Corner. Let's see how big this show is. Gotcha, Shane.
Yeah, remind me next time to use my actual like PC setup for this, because my microphone sounds like I'm talking through like a bunch of taped together mason jar.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why he didn't do that the first time. Pop Culture Corner. Let's see here. First one that comes up has 42 subscribers. I don't see that video on here.
I would like to say though, a lot of people were talking about like CPS and other stuff like that. Like that's no bueno, dude. Like, you know, don't say stuff like that as a father of a child and stuff like that. But I do think also though, like it's a little weird to do that. Like his 5-year-old son has no clue what the hell's going on, and even if he did tell his other 5-year-old friends about aliens, they're not even going to know what the hell's going on. So
yeah, it's not my place to call CPS on anyone. If this is how you want to parent your child, go for it. I don't think it's the best way to do it. Would I consider that like endangering the child's life? You know, no. I think there are a lot worse things you could do to a kid, but this is pretty bad. This is pretty bad. And it's close. But honestly, like, I don't know how this got approved by the wife. I'm not sure how it got approved. But, you know, if there's grandma or grandpa in the world of this kid's life, there's just so many people that this went through to get to that point, where it's, you know, on a YouTube, TikTok channel now, and he's sharing it like it's some point of pride. It's just weird. It's weird. It's cringe. I don't know why you would convince your son that he can call UFOs. I think you're setting him up for failure and ostracizing him, you know, in later grades when he does get there and he starts making these claims in class or, you know, God knows where. And you know, I remember Andres had recommended in a space, or maybe it wasn't Andres, I think it was somebody else, but a similar story like this had come up in a space, and the suggestion was thrown out like, hey, are your kids' teachers and guidance counselors aware of their belief system? You know, because that's something a teacher should know. Like, oh, I'm teaching a kid who has parents who has convinced them that they see orbs or that they can manifest UFOs or whatever. You know, yeah, I don't know. It's not a recipe to set up your kids, I think, for success. I know it's not something I would do with my kid. That's for fucking sure. But yeah, this was a funny video. I don't know what is happening here. I know this is Devil's Tower because that's where Lou Elizondo takes all of his guests. And Matt Ford is, I thought at first this was Linda Thompson. Like, who else, what other old lady would go to a hike on Devil's Tower with Lou Elizondo and Matt Ford and is walking in a cane? I mean, like, how far did they get up? And to be honest, this guy in the back looks like Eric Davis. This is Cosmic Judas. Oh my god, dude. I am in love with Cosmic Judas. But dude, this guy back here looks like Eric Davis a little bit. Has anybody confirmed who these two other guys are? Or are these just random guys?
No, this is my first time seeing this.
Dude, this is one of, I have so many questions. So many questions. Who is this lady? What is she doing on a mountain? Why is she being led by Matt Ford and Lou Elizondo? Why are they being so gentlemanly to this lady here who's wearing a huge placard around her neck? What's that placard about? What does that mean? If I had to take a guess, I would probably assume it means something along the lines of, please don't let this woman climb a fucking mountain because she's physically unable to do so. But somehow still ended up on a mountain because they wanted to call UFOs. I'm dying to know who this is.
They're out there just telling her, like, yeah, man, you know, Devil's Tower used to be a tree back when the giants roamed the earth. God knows, dude. There was a time in my life where I would have paid $20,000 to have this moment. And thank God I moved on from that.
Dude, thank God. Thank God. Okay, so Dean Johnson put out a tweet today titled UFO Congressional News, Senate Intelligence Committee issues report on fiscal year 2025 Intelligence Authorization Act. So on June 3rd, 2024, I reported that the UAP-related provisions of the fiscal year 2025 Intelligence Authorization Act that has been approved by the U.S. Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, the SSCI's exploratory report on S4443 was posted today. The committee report gives some details on the May 22nd, 2024 closed-door SSCI voting session, at which the committee considered amendments to draft the bill that had been jointly submitted by Chairman Mark Warner and the ranking minority member Marco Rubio. However, the report sheds little new light on the thinking of the SSCI chairman or any of the SSCI members regarding the UAP-related matters. All of the material directly related to UAP is found in Title X of S4443. It consists of sections 1000, 1002, and section 1003. I will discuss these in reverse order. 1003 is Gillibrand ban on funding of non-reported special access programs. 1003 is not new language. It simply extends a provision of the enacted fiscal year 2024 IAA as enacted, prohibiting funding of intelligence community special access programs involving UAP unless the Director of National Intelligence has provided the details of the activity to congressional intelligence committees and top congressional leadership. The law contains language explicitly extending the limitation to include the independent research and development funding, which some have suggested might be employed as a way to evade congressional scrutiny. The Section 1003 language was originally posted in the SSCI in July of 2023 by Senator Gillibrand, co-sponsored by Mike Rounds, John Cornyn, and Rubio. It was part of the final bill enacted on December 22nd, 2023. Due to the congressional protocols involving the prerogatives of the Appropriations Committee, the original funding limitation applied only to fiscal year 24, which ends on September 30th, 2024, according to the new SSCI language. At the May 22nd voting session, Senator Gillibrand offered an amendment to extend the same provisions to fiscal year, which was adopted without objection. Excuse me, let me take a drink here. Some have suggested that the extension of this funding limitation language means that members of the SSCI know that unreported UAP-related special access programs must exist. However, in a June 21st, 2024 exchange with journalist Matt Laszlo, Gillibrand herself denied such knowledge. Laszlo asked her, "Do you still trust?" Because Senator Rounds told me that he doesn't trust the Congress, that Congress knows about SAPs, about all SAPs. To which Gillibrand replied, quote, "I have no reason to believe that there are SAPs that exist or don't exist. I have no bias to know one way or the other. I just know that the provisions that I've tried to include would try to guarantee that we know about all SAPs." In that question to Gillibrand, Laszlo was referring back to an exchange he'd had with Senator Rounds on May 21st, in which Laszlo asked, quote, "Are you confident that Congress knows of every SAP," end quote. To which Rounds replied, "No, I'm not confident yet. Part of it is you have to ask the right questions to the right people in the right setting in order to get an answer." It should be noted that Gillibrand language in S4443 applies to special access programs that are within the oversight jurisdiction of the SSCI or the SCCI, which is basically those under the supervision of the Director of National Intelligence, as I understand it. The December 2023 law also included a separate but very similar provision governing SAPs under the Department of Defense. The Senate Armed Services Committee completed work on its fiscal year 2025 National Defense Authorization Act on June 13, 2024, but the committee approved text has not been posted, so I do not know if it would extend to the DoD SAP restriction. I suspect it will. Okay, so that's interesting. That first part here is very interesting. Basically, Gillibrand is fighting to make sure that we know about all SAPs, which is not a bad thing to fight for, but I don't know if that's going to lead to SAP special access programs that are reverse engineering alien craft. And when you go back and sort of dig a little deeper on what Laszlo and was it Rounds said, like, he has to, if you're in the right setting, asking the right people at the right time. So yeah, here it is right here. Part of it is you have to ask the right questions to the right people in the right setting in order to get an answer. So to me, that tells me that, yeah, there are SAPs that maybe Congress doesn't know about because they're, first of all, not read in. But I think especially if you're setting on the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, you should have access to all special access programs, and there shouldn't be any hidden access programs from lawmakers that have access to it. Do you have any thoughts on this, Shane? What are you thinking? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm just
part of the bill?
I'm just like I read stuff like this, and I'm mostly curious. Like, what's the end goal here? We just show the world every secret that our government has, so that some people can find out if aliens are real or not.
No, I
like
think,
we just reveal everything, like, you know.
I think that's part of it. Yeah, I think that's part of it, and I also think part of it is, look, they're not going to reveal. Like, I think the ultimate goal of Senator Gillibrand here is to get as much information about special access programs as possible. What are they funding? Where is it going? What is it being used for?
Right.
So therefore, she can then intelligently go back to her constituency and say, look, here's the law. I got the access to the special access programs. I can see them all, and I can confirm for sure for the American people that none of these special access programs that are no longer hidden to Congress are reverse engineering, alien spacecraft. She can see.
And yeah, but no one would believe. no one would believe that.
I don't think
they would just want her to say that they're real. That even if she came out, if she got all the access she wanted, no one would believe her.
But here's the thing, believe her or not, that's the fact. And here's what she could also say.
Oh, it would be awesome.
Well, I think from a political perspective, if let's say you get a sycophant or somebody that comes up to her in public and says, "Hey, why I think you're lying about the special access programs," right? Let's say that this makes it through in next year's National Defense Authorization Act. and she gets access to those programs, and then she later reports along with Arrow that none of those programs are connected to reverse engineering and then everybody gets pissed off, right? And let's say she's at a town hall and somebody asks her this question. I think it's very easy for her to say, look, there is no other lawmaker on Capitol Hill that has fought for more transparency in this discussion than I have. I sit on the proper committees. I've passed the laws that have given us access to some of these special access programs. That's a good thing, not only for Congress, but for the American people to know that now we do have access and that we've corrected. If any of those special access programs are illegally funded special access programs, that's a huge story that I think UFO Twitter should take a fucking bow for, because if it wasn't for our incessant sort of bugging of lawmakers to get these laws written, that doesn't come out. And I think she can very confidently defend her position and say, look, I fought for you. I've done everything in my legal power to get as much information, and I'm sorry, but the information just doesn't point to alien reverse engineered programs. We did have some issues with other special access programs, but they have nothing to do with aliens. And whether you want to believe me or not, well, that's simply on you. That's how I would answer it if I were her anyway.
Yeah, that would be awesome if that went down like that, man.
Because it's true.
Yeah, but I mean, it is really good to see someone trying to do it the right way. And I don't think it would matter so much that she's not doing it so much for either you believe or don't believe. She's trying to figure it out. And whenever she comes back and says, like you said, she's been on all the committees. She's followed every step to do everything she could to get all the information she could. And this is what she found would be an actual hero of disclosure, right? An actual person that was actually in this place, the only person that actually fought for that type of transparency, enough to at least give the people an idea of what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, that's the thing with the UFO believers really have to understand is a lot of them, again, I don't want to sort of hurt everybody in the group, but, for the purposes of not having to individualize every person into their own group, for the believers, you've attached yourself to Senator Gillibrand and Marco Rubio and how honorable they are and how brave they are for heading this discussion for you guys from a legislative standpoint. You've hailed them as heroes. You've propped them up as agents of disclosure, heroes of disclosure rather. That means that you have to accept the conclusions that they come back to you with, because that doesn't change just because their answer for you doesn't fit your narrative or your world belief. And I think you're right, Shane. I think there's just going to be a lot of pissed off UFO believers, and they're not going to, of course, they won't be able to see past their own anger and their own belief system to actually listen to what she's saying and know that she's telling the truth when it comes to that aspect of it.
So easily they flip flop on you, though, right? So,
I mean,
so easily it would all turn.
They are politicians, but I mean, they are still fighting for aspects. I mean, look, how many other politicians are writing into the National Defense Authorization Act ways to ensure that the American people and that the security state or, the committees, the security committees know everything that's being funded. Like, that's a good thing. And I don't see a lot of lawmakers, championing that. So if Senator Gillibrand is doing that, I say applaud her for it. That's a good thing. And again, like, if it comes back that there is an illegal special access program that Congress was unaware of, but it has nothing to do with aliens, man, that is a huge win for UFO Twitter. Just like the time when UFO Twitter found drug-running drones over the Texas-Mexico border, a few years back. like I thought that was a huge, hey, look, there are some great researchers here on UFO Twitter, and we just found some drug running drones like that. I think that's pretty cool. And I think,
oh, dude, I forgot all about that.
Yeah, and I think this is the same kind of thing where it's like, look, if UFO Twitter and the UFO base was able to influence law that unearth illegal special access programs, dude, that's a huge notch on the UFO Twitter belt that they can use going forward as a point of credibility. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%. And but it does kind of be like with I don't know if they want to roll the dice that much, because maybe it won't turn out the way they want. But I think transparency or honesty or genuineness or the ability to search for things like that should be respected regardless. And to do something like that's still wild. Like you're looking into special access programs, right?
Yeah.
That's this most secret of the secret. And who knows? Maybe there's something in there.
Well, I mean, shit,
might be aliens.
Who knows? Maybe she does. Maybe she does. I don't think she will find anything.
She just comes out and she's like, "We're all being trapped on the Soul Cube on Mars. That's all the secret."
Okay, so the second part of this was sections 1001 to 1002 in the Government Accountability Office and audits of Arrow. So this section I'm not going to read because we're running out of time because I want to get to the whistleblower provisions. But basically, yeah, this is an audit of Arrow, making sure that the things that they're saying are actually so. So I think that's also a good thing. Like Arrow should be audited. I want to know where the money's going to. I want to know how much money has gone into it so far. I want to know how many people were like, there's so many things that could come from an audit that could give a lot of answers as to how serious this office is and how serious the Pentagon or the Department of Defense is taking it. So we shall see. So whistleblower provisions. In addition to the UAP related provisions described above, Title 8 of the Intelligence Authorization Act contains 28 pages of proposed new provisions to enhance protections for whistleblowers who are members or former members of the intelligence community. These provisions are associated with Senator Ron Wyden, a Democrat of Oregon, who has not been publicly indicated particular interest in UAP. Nevertheless, some of the proposed changes in laws conceivably could have application to some would-be whistleblowers who possess UAP-related information. Senator Wyden's explanation of his purposes found on page 2728 of the SSCI report. The committee was sharply divided on one Wyden proposal, making it more difficult for the intelligence community components change in the employment status of employees. That provision was adopted on a 10-7 vote. 3 senators filed dissenting views on page 25 and 26. So that's interesting. I kind of agree with Wyden here, not for UAP whistleblowers, but it's good for UAP whistleblowers too. Because let's say you do have a retired person who, say, did work on a reverse engineered spacecraft or alien craft or body or whatever, and they're retired, and those whistleblower protections don't extend to people who are retired. I also agree that whistleblower protections, this is another good thing that comes out of UAP activism. And that is the passing of more protections for actual whistleblowers. Like if we get a real whistleblower in UFOs, if we get a real whistleblower from the intelligence community on something that the United States is doing in a nefarious nature, kind of like Edward Snowden, but maybe he's retired or she's retired, like there should be protections for those people. And again, that's another notch on the belt for UFO Twitter to say, yeah, we helped do that. We helped pass that provision. No, it hasn't provided any evidence of alien spacecraft visiting our atmosphere or its citizens, but we did make the life of whistleblowers easier, and protections have been extended to them post-retirement. I think that's a good thing. What do you think, Shane?
No, I think so too. Because a lot of the excuses that I hear about why whistleblowers aren't coming out, like real whistleblowers, is because they're not actually protected. They still have a lot of fear to come out and things like that. So to pass a law like that would give more protections, even to people who do not currently work for the government or retired or they're older, like you said. What really bad could come out of that? Because it doesn't have to be about aliens. It could be about anything that the United States is doing in bad faith, to their constituents. So, yeah, I think that'd be great.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And I'm going to read the last part here of what happens next, but he says, yes, every senator has the theoretical right to offer freestanding floor amendments to an authorized bill such as the NDAA, enforce roll call votes on them, but there are many practical constraints. The managers of the NDAA of both parties would not welcome an absolutely wide open amendment process, which would be politically fraught. So each year's agreements are negotiated to limit the number of subject matter of amendments. Any senator has the power to create 60-vote hurdle for any amendment. Moreover, no UFO-related amendments have ever been the subject of a separate roll call vote on the floor of either House or Congress. The timing of the Senate floor action on the NDAA IAA is as yet undetermined. The complete PDF text of the Senate report can be viewed. So go check out D. Dean Johnson's post on this. It was today. And again, like, I think these are all positive things that are not just great for the UFO UAP discussion, but they go a long way and have, I think, bigger societal impacts for people who are trying to get more truth out there when it comes to how its government handles not only UFOs, but a number of other things. So again, that's something that the UFO Twitter community should absolutely hang its hat on and be really proud that you guys helped usher stuff like that in. Because if it wasn't for being a pain in the ass and calling lawmakers, I don't think Senator Gillibrand writes amendments like that. So, and you're also, like, you have to understand, like, the bill is so big, but there are a limited number of things that these senators and congressmen can fight for in this bill, and they have to be very careful with what they push for and what they make a big deal about, because there are like, whether you believe it or not, every single thing that goes in that bill matters to someone. So if something important gets bumped because people want to look at UFOs, you can bet your ass that whatever senator put that in there is going to get a ton of shit from the people that they had already made a promise to in whatever, especially when it comes to funding somebody's political campaign. Like, a lot of these things that make it into the NDAA are either personal beliefs that they want to champion or things that they've been lobbied to champion for. And so UFOs are always going to hit the back burner on that. This was a cool video put out by Lord Bebo. It's the revolver launcher in a cargo compartment of a military Boeing C-17 Globemaster III with two sequentially initial drums and an electromagnetic catapult for launching 12 Boeing X-51A Wave Rider hypersonic cruise missiles. So this is a C-17 launching cruise missiles, almost kind of like, it looks at the beginning of this video, looks kind of like a mothership releasing little orbs. You know,
dude, that looks terrifying, dude. What?
It looks terrifying, but also, like, you could see if the military was testing something like this, how someone would confuse this for UFOs. Especially if this was.
You also see how the U.S. government would tell you that it was UFOs.
Right. It's like, how long do you think this was sitting in a C-17? How many years was this technology and this weapon delivery system sitting in a
15,
C-17 before we got a video like this?
15, 20.
15, 20 years.
15, 20 years.
Easy, right?
Yeah.
Easy. Like, this is crazy. And again, like, this is why you can't, I don't care who the pilot is. Like, I don't care. If they're not read in on the system, you can see how this can look like something else, especially if you add the right elements, like a different time of the day.
Yeah, that's sick though, dude. Put a revolver in the back of a C-130.
Dude, right?
That's
Yeah,
insane.
it's
Cruise
basically
missile. Whoa.
it's a double missile revolver. Look at this
That's
thing, dude.
insane.
It's double stacked. It moves all of these missiles beautifully into the, and look, it's like an auto fucking reloading 6-shooter. It's crazy. But it 6 shoots 12 Boeing X-51 Wave Rider hypersonic cruise missiles.
And you have to think too of how fast they're flying and how you would see that tearing ass to the sky, especially at night. Oh man, you'd be like, and then you're out in your backyard like doing C5 with your son. You're like, oh my god, we did it.
I finally saw a fucking SpaceX missile. My neighbor said it was Vandenberg that it was launched from. I finally saw one last night. It was so cool. I had to pull over. Unfortunately, I didn't get the flame aspect of it. But dude, when this thing was taken off, it looked like a fucking dragon in the sky. It was crazy. And then the afterburners got kicked off, and then it goes into that classic sort of like, looks like a star bursting in waves or something. It was so cool. But yeah, dude, if you're seeing those things for the first time, you're gonna think it's a fucking alien. Like, especially if you're not familiar with rockets or what they look like when they're in the sky and things like that, dude. It was so cool, and it was hauling ass.
Dude, you're going to be in your living room buying Stephen Greer's Unacknowledged like the next day.
Dude, it was going so fast. Like, it went from the coastline to over downtown, I swear to you, in less than a minute. It was cooking. It was cooking, man. It was so cool. This was one thing I wanted to share because I've been talking about this and talking about this and talking about how the Department of Energy has these micro-nuclear reactors that they put on our aircraft carriers and our submarines. I think some of these engines have made their way onto drones. And I think we're going to start seeing a lot of this stuff starting to finally roll out. And this was a post by Rolls-Royce, okay? The Rolls-Royce micro-reactor will provide reliable, autonomous energy solutions to multiple markets, providing zero-emission power. Our advanced nuclear technologies support many global net zero targets, solving energy dependence across many industries. They're going to monetize the fuck out of these engines. They're going to go to Apple.
Oh, dude. And that is basically... Dude, that is free energy, man.
It's free energy. It's free energy, and they're gonna monetize it. They're gonna monetize the shit out of it. But let's check this out. Rolls-Royce making nuclear engines. This is crazy. This is so cool. And this is the shit we should be talking about in spaces, I think.
Scalable with multi-domain applicability. The microreactor uses an inherently safe and robust fuel form able to withstand the most extreme conditions. A graphite core structure constrains the fuel particles and transfers the heat away from the fuel to the power conversion system. Innovative heat exchanger technology enables the microreactor.
Look at that right there. Now tell me you accidentally walk into a special access program and see a fucking engine part like that light up. What would you think, Shane?
Dude, I think that's cool as shit. Oh my god, dude. Rolls-Royce, dude, it looks like an alien spacecraft.
I've been talking about this shit for years, and people, it's not Department of Energy, well, you know what you're talking about. Here it is. It's starting to be pumped out now. These nuclear engines have been sitting in our aircraft carriers for more than 20 years. And now they're finally starting to hit the global markets. And you can bet your ass there's a lot of industries lining up to buy this thing.
To be as efficient and lightweight as
possible. Dude, David Adair made this possible, bro.
Vital for use in space.
Vital for use
Here,
in
the
space.
heat from the core is converted into electricity.
It says vital for use in space.
The science and innovation of the microreactor offers
Dude, that's
endless
insane.
opportunities.
That's so cool.
It offers
That is
Because
so
when
endless
the power to
opportunities.
deliver and the power to explore combine,
Imagine the weapons
new
they've already made out of
horizons
this.
are reached.
Well, I think they're also suggesting like this is a great way to power space stations. This is a great way to power moon bases. This is a great way to power things on Mars. This is a great way to get your fucking, once you get your, and it's becoming cheaper and cheaper to put things into low orbit. But once it's in low orbit, you can get a nuclear reactor engine to take over to provide not only all the power to your instruments and hardware, but the power to propel you to wherever you're going. Dude, we're here.
Dude, this is the stuff like this that makes me upset that I'm 36 years old. So I'm just like, damn it.
Scalable
If I was
with
just born a little bit
multi-domain.
later, dude, I get to see, like, maybe I won't get to see all this, you know?
But I mean, but look,
Because
this
there's
is
going to be a moment, you know?
This is a Rolls-Royce engine. And you can bet your ass that Rolls-Royce, without a doubt, got a military contract to do. This was a special access program at one point. There's no doubt. There's no doubt that there's military funding in this innovation. Wonder who went to Rolls-Royce and said, hey, can you make us a nuclear engine that's portable, lightweight?
Like, yeah, mate, no problem.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, look at this. It looks like a Tic Tac, number one. I mean, the thing looks like a Tic Tac. I mean, and again, if you saw any aspect of this not being read into the program, or if you knew somebody who was on the program who only worked on this aspect of the engine, or this aspect of the engine, or, you know, whatever, the casing of this thing. You know how many NDAs this was put through? Dude, this is just sick.
Yeah, that's absolutely sick.
It's
I mean, that's
sick.
absolutely sick. That's what you should be
It's
excited
sick.
about, people. This right
is-
here.
This is it. Like, this is where the excitement comes. And so I think that's where we'll end the show, man. I think that's a great spot to end it. And
Heck yeah, man.
yeah, Shane, dude, thanks for being here. That was a fun little co-host you did here with me. Thanks for doing that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Anytime, man. Anytime. I had a great time. And thanks to everybody in the chat for having a great time.
You know what? I am hold on, I just realized that we've got your sound and the music on the same thing here.
Oh, no.
So hold on, let me lower the music so your mic comes in as loud as possible. There we go. Okay, there we go.
I don't know if we want to do that. I probably still sound like I'm talking through a bunch of mason jars.
No, you sounded great.
Oh, duh.
This was fun, dude. And I
It
wanted
was,
to
man.
get into some other stuff with you, but I think we had a great conversation outside of that other stuff. But we'll get there one day. Yeah, Shane, thanks, dude.
Anytime, man. Have a good night, brother.
You too. We'll see you soon. All right, guys. So that was UFO Shane. Go follow him on Twitter at UFO Shane. Or no, I think it's at Turtle of Time, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check out Shane. At Turtle of Time 12. So go check him out on Twitter. He always is holding spaces. This was a cool show, you guys. And like I said, like, there's a lot of things to be excited about in the UFO discussion that have nothing to do with fantasy or lore or bullshit or grifting or promises or trust me bros. There's a lot of stuff like this Rolls-Royce engine and these deployment systems that can explain a lot of the stuff like that maybe David Grush saw, or Lou Elizondo or Chris Mellon, or who knows. Like, there's all sorts of stuff. David Fravor, the Tic Tac that he was chasing, could have easily been our own tech, easily. So yeah, you guys, that was a show. I had a blast. I hope you guys did too. Please don't forget, before you get out of here, check out that like button It goes a long way. Check out that subscribe button. Ring the bell. That way you're notified anytime we do shows like this. I was asked earlier also, are we going to be doing a space on Thursday? I believe we are. So check out Twitter for a space. I'm sure it'll be a loose, fun conversation with some friends. So do that. And yeah, you guys, I think that's everything. Oh, yeah. If you really love this show, check out our links for Patreon down below. Support the show through a YouTube membership. Dollars go a very long way for the show in helping me produce it. So very much appreciated to all of our members and all of our patrons. Thank you. Special thank you to all of you guys out there. And once again, thank you for embarking on this journey of discovery together. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and thank you for subscribing to Lube Reviews and helping raise the bar. Until Friday, we'll see y'all. Peace out.